Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please hit on the share button to share this live stream to your family and friends. I trust you are doing well, and I trust you had a successful and amazing day. So, thank you so much for joining today's live stream. If you are just joining us, please comment where you are streaming from in the comments below. My name is Emmanuel Jacob, and I will be your host for today's live stream. And I would like to know your name and where you are streaming from in the comments below. So I'm streaming from Ekiti, Akwa Ibom State, and let us know where you are streaming from. I'm not here alone. I have a guest speaker which I'm going to bring to the screen in a few minutes time, or let's say a few seconds time, and he's going to be taking us on managing remote employees in Web3 space. So if you are just joining us, kindly comment where you are streaming from in the comments below. Comment where you are streaming from as we are about to start. Comment where you are streaming from. Let us know where you are streaming from in the comments below. Let's know where you are streaming from. Comment where you are streaming from. And do well to hit on the share button, copy the link and share it with your family and friends. Invite as many as possible to join us today. So if you are looking at having, or if you are looking at employing people and wanting them to work remotely for you, because that is actually currently the order of the day, right? People prefer working at home. People prefer working in several companies, irrespective of their locations, right? So if you want to thrive in your business, you want to thrive in whatever crypto projects, Web3 projects, blockchain, whatsoever you are building, and you are looking to employ people to work remotely for you, then this session is the best session for you. And if you are also an employee, right, this session is also for you. Or if you are looking for a job in the Web3 space, this session is as well for you. So let's know where you are streaming from in the comments below, and do well to share this live stream with as many as possible so that a whole lot of people will get to benefit from the value which our guest speaker will be dishing out for us, right? So without wasting much of your time, I'm going to bring to the screen our guest speaker, and he's going to do a brief introduction of himself, and then he's going to start lecturing us on how we could be able to manage um, employees in the Web3 space. All right, so you're welcome, Mr. Joseph. Thank you for so much for honoring our invitation. I really do appreciate.
Yeah, thank you, Manuel. I'm super excited to be here. This is like my, first YouTube live stream. So it's a new ground for me. So I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you.
Yeah,
So this live stream is going to be like 30 minutes to 45 minutes, depending. But I don't like it. I don't like posting a lengthy sessions, right? So you are going
okay.
to brief, and without saying too much, I would like you to start educating us on how we could be able to manage employees remotely in the Web3 space.
Okay, so I'll do a brief introduction about myself first. So I'm Joseph Nssien, and popularly I'm called Big Joe. And for those following me or joining me from Twitter, and I'm a human resource manager and the founder of Recruit Me. So basically, what the company does is to connect talent in Africa, the top talent that we have in Africa, to Web2 and Web3 brands. So basically, any company that needs talent from Africa can basically, come to recruit me, and we can, help you with all your human resource management needs. So basically, talking about the topic for today, managing remote employees in Web3. So there are a few keywords that we I have to break down first from this topic, which are managing. We have remote employees, and we have Web3. So basically, first, what is managing? Right. I'll simply break it down to, the simplest term. So managing is the process of, organizing, arranging, and, the different activities that you do in order to make things organized. You can call that process managing. Now, remote employees are, employees of companies, working remotely from anywhere all over the world. So, what really brought about remote employment was due to the COVID-19 pandemic that happened 2020, which shoots out remote working and remote jobs. And Web3, as we all know, is the third generation of the internet that has to do with the blockchain technology, decentralization, and the semantic web. So, talking about managing remote employees in Web3, a lot of people here would agree with me that in Web3 we have a situation in this industry that projects are solely focused on their product, right? They are solely focused on the product and mainly on the community. But they seem to forget that this product, that the success of any project is also dependent on the employees, right? So, um, in order to succeed as a project, you have to succeed in the area of your human resource. When we are talking about human resource, we talk about everything that has to do with the human beings that are involved in your project. Now, um, now we talk about um, different managerial styles because we have different ways to manage people, right? There are a lot of ways we can manage people. We have a lot of ways managers manage people. We have the coercive manager, right? Those kind of managers, the managers that are like stiff, right? They tell you to do it this way, right? They tell you how they want things to be done. Then we have authoritative managers. These are the kind of managers that are like, come with me, right? Do this, come with me, right? Those are kind of authoritative managers. And we have these affiliative managers. These are managers that are literally like, yeah, the employees come first. Example, asking a question and basically saying, okay, what do you think? Right? Those are the kind of managers that puts the employees first. And we have democratic managers that are basically also like the affiliative managers, but also, puts employees first. And lastly, we have the coaching managers that are like, try this thing, right? They tend to try to take you step by step in what you're doing. Now, to successfully manage a person, because the truth is human beings are very difficult to manage because we have different intrinsic and extrinsic motivation that makes us to work. I might work because of funds. That might be what is motivating me to work because of the money involved. But I say Emmanuel might not work because of the money involved. He might work because he wants recognition or he wants position. That might be what is motivating Emmanuel to work. So as a manager, you should be able to identify these intrinsic and extrinsic motivations that enables your employee to work, right? And in order to do this, you have to understand your employees, each and every one of them. You have to understand them. And the good thing is, when it comes to managing remote employees, you can basically, from the start, that is the data analysis, where you get the job analysis of the jobs available until the actual hiring and onboarding of the employee. This gives you avenue for you to get to know this employee that you're hiring and what is motivating this employee to work, right? Because if you do not know what is motivating an employee to work, there's a popular quote that says, people don't quit companies, they quit managers. I have a very good experience with that when it comes to quitting an organization because of the manager I was working under, because he did not know how to manage employees. We have managers that do not listen to any suggestion that the employees will make, even if the suggestion are for the good of the company or for the good of the project. We have managers like that. And you notice in Web3, we have a lot of developers. A lot of developers are running projects in Web3s. And the truth is that many developers don't have skills when it comes to managing employees. So they will not know the right way to manage these employees. And now, when it comes to managing employees, right, we have different things to do, especially when managing them remotely. Now, you know that when you're working remotely, you can, you basically do not have this face to face interaction, or they don't come into the office for you to tell them or monitor their work, right? Now, what you simply have to do is one, you set clear expectation for your remote employees. Set clear expectation. Make sure you are clearly communicating what you are expecting from your remote employees. That is, in terms of productivity, in terms of communication, and in terms of deadline. You have to clearly communicate this to them, because it is unlike the when they are working in the office, that you can barge into their office anytime and say, okay, are you done with this text, or are you done with that text? You basically, it's not possible. You can All you can do is check on your employees online by texting, and they can work anytime they want, especially with projects that do not use monitoring tools, right, to monitor if the employee is on their on their system. So you have to set clear expectations so that they know at this deadline, or you need your employees to be this productive. You have to communicate it clearly to your employees. Now, the next thing is choosing a right communication tool, because yes, you have to communicate with your employees. It's not all about talking on a lot of projects like using Telegram and Discord. It's not all about talking on Telegram or chatting your employees up on Discord. Sometimes you have to connect with them. You have to see them, right? The same way I'm saying Emmanuel now, you have to get on platforms like Zoom or Google Meet, and you have to interact with them. You get to talk to them, right, and see how they are doing, and communicate to them what you are expecting from them, or the project you're working on, the product you're working on. You have to clearly have the right communication tools. I know projects that come up every Friday. They have a team meeting every Friday where they come up to discuss things about the project and how they can move the community forward, of the new features they can bring into the project. Clearly communicating and bringing your team, your community, or of your employees, I mean, in bringing your employees into the roadmap of the project. Because we have a lot of projects that hopping on the project, you basically feel that you are not really doing anything for the project. I mean, they are. Let's talk about, let's say, the moderators. All you do is to answer questions in the community, and attend to fields and all of that. And you don't really feel like this is a big deal. Some people would really feel that they are really contributing to the project, right? That is how some employees will feel, especially employees that are motivated intrinsically from recognition, or from, they have a certain goal they want to achieve, and to get there they have to pass through the stage of being a community moderator. So these kind of employees might quit your company. There might be a high turnover rate because you are not managing them well. You're not communicating with them well. Now, you have to also encourage self motivation, right? When you're talking about self motivation, you talk about, let me give an example. Now, there was this period of time I was working with a project as a community manager, and I saw different types of employees, right? So different types of employees. We have employees that their shift will start by 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and they are going to log in. They are going to come online to respond to start their shift by say 9 a.m. or by even 10 a.m. Some will come, sign the shift, and they are off. Now, this there might be a lot of factors, right? There might be external factor causing this, and there might be internal factors causing this. And if it's internal factors, that is where you need to know how to to encourage self motivation in your employees. Now, when you talk about encouraging self motivation, you find out, let's say, for example, I'm a manager, and to prevent turnover, right? To prevent turnover, I can basically go to the DM of the moderator and ask and try to communicate with him or her to find out what is really going on. And you might see maybe it's an internal problem that he is having, and that is not really making him be punctual for work. Now, another thing would be to monitor the progress of your employees. This is very important. It is very important for you as a manager to monitor the progress of your employees. This is where you involve tools like Trello, which is one of my favorite. I really love using Trello, especially in my company. That is where I used to track the work of my employees to see that they are hitting the target that I set for them. Then work culture, you have to foster a very a very strong team culture, right? There are a lot of employees that will come to you and they say they are lone wolves. They don't do well working with other people, that they are just. Hello, Emmanuel, can you hear me? Hello, Miss Emmanuel, can you hear me? Hello, Miss Emmanuel, can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Manuel, can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I
Please
don't
comment. I
know.
can hear you in the comments below if you can hear me. Comment. I can hear you. Comment below if you can hear me. Comment. I can hear you.
Can you hear me now, Mr. Manuel?
I think I've been able to fix mine from my end. Hello, Joseph.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, okay. Sorry. Oh, I was it from me?
Sorry, I really can't tell. I don't think it was from you. I think it's kind
Okay,
of
okay,
issues from StreamYard, I guess.
okay, okay. We can go ahead now, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. When talking about, I think I was talking about clear communications, and then I think I'm going to move on to the next, which is rewarding and recognition, right? It's always important as a project to go the extra mile to reward and recognize your employees, which is something I rarely see in Web3 projects. I do not see things like only one project that I was on that literally does this recognition. They give awards based on their best graphics designer, their best community moderator, their best community member, and different recognitions to different employees, and they give incentive attached to this. What this does is that it boosts the morals of your employees, right? It boosts their morale for them to it brings up this spirit in other employees that were kind of like slacking back to like come up again. If they have this slacking back spirit in them, this kind of recognitions and reward gives them this push that, okay, I want to be the next best moderator, right? I want to be the next I want to be the next best graphics designer. And this can lead to a very good team culture, right? A very good team culture, and push team spirit. Then we talk about coming together again as a project to talk to yourselves and brainstorm on ideas, because a lot of project really leaves out their employees when it comes to brainstorming. I'll give an example. Let's say you're launching a new product, right? Especially when we are talking about game buy project. I see some project that doesn't really involve their moderators or their community managers, or um
Your video
uh,
is blank. Did you turn off your camera?
am I good to go?
Yeah, you can continue, but your video is just blank. Can you see yourself?
Yeah, I can. I think the StreamYard is having an issue because I can see myself and I can see you.
Okay. All right. Just
Okay, so okay, talking about that, you see that some project doesn't really involve their community when they are making decisions like this. When they are building product, I'm sorry, their employees when they are building product. Now, if you're involving your employees when you're building your product, you can get different suggestions, right, from your employees. There might be some that are really have good knowledge about these things, that when you bring them on board, okay, this is what you're developing, this is the product you are working on, it can really go the extra mile to help you with new perspective for your product. So putting all these points I've talked about together, you talk about clear communication, using the right tools for communication. We talk about choosing a very good managerial style. For me, I always like to go with democratic managerial style. I go with pace setting managerial style, and I go with coaching managerial style. When you talk about democratic, you tend to bring your employees first by asking, what do you think, right? If you want to take a certain decision in the project, you can go ahead to ask employees, what do you think about these things, right? You go with pace setting, right? Do as I do, because I'm a big lover of setting examples. And you talk about coaching, right? By telling your employees, try this, right? In form of coaching managerial style. And sometimes you also have to put in a little authoritative managerial style to show that cohesiveness, show that authority, that you are the manager, because as a manager you always have to take the lead. It's a difficult task that you must do. We talk about rewarding and recognizing your employees. We talk about setting clear expectations for your employees. So putting all this together, you are going to effectively manage your employees in Web3.
That was quite concise. Thank you so much for that. So, if you have any question, time for question in the and our will help you your questions. So, while we are waiting for the question, we have a few questions to ask you, Mr. Joseph. So, the first on the uh, what are the skills for manager to have when remote employees?
Okay, what do you think are the most important skills for a manager to have, right?
Yeah.
Okay, when talking about skills as a manager, we have different types of skills. We have transferable skills, and when we talk about these skills, we you talk about communication, which is very important as a manager. We cannot communicate effectively. If you cannot communicate effectively, you will go nowhere as a manager, right? That is the first and number one skills that you must have as a manager. Then we talk about punctuality. We know that you are a manager. You are a manager, right? You have to set that example. If you expect same with your team, when it meets to meeting deadline, let's assume as a manager you expect employees to meet deadlines if you are not meeting deadlines. Now we talk about having a correct or the right managerial skill, because you have to have the right managerial skills as a manager, right? I talked about different types of managerial skills you must have, and you have to see one that fits to your team, and combine them. Then you have to talk about technological skills, right? And when I talk about having technological skills, you have to be updated. You have to know how to use a lot of different tools and softwares. We talk about tools like platforms like Zoom. Talk about using platforms like Trello. You talk about Slack. You have to have this flexibility to use different tools from different platforms. So I think these are the top, very important skills that any manager should have.
All right. Thank you so much for that. So, how do you maintain a sense of team culture and connecting with and connection of employees?
Okay, when you're talking about building the right team culture, right, build and maintain a good team culture, that is where you talk about clear communication, right? And when you communicate clearly of what you expect to your what you expect for your employees, this will build a very good team culture. Communication is one of the most effective things that any team should have. When you are communicating clearly using the right platforms to communicate, this is where it all began to build up fast, because building this team culture, there are certain things that it's expected in the company. Let's say punctuality, for an example, meeting deadlines, as I mentioned. The way you call everybody in the a person above you. There are some companies that call them people by their names. There are some companies that call people by their titles and all of that. So this all happens when you clearly communicate. Then you talk about team meetings, right? This is very important, especially when you are working remotely. You have to constantly meet with your employees. Either it's weekly meetings or it's bi-weekly meetings. I do not advise for monthly meetings, right? I'm not a fan of just monthly meetings, except you have like a pretty large team. That might be an exemption. But if you have this close 10, 20 team members, you can always meet bi-weekly to get together to talk about things involving the project, to carry out some activities, and all this would build a very beautiful team culture. As I said, employees do not quit companies, they quit the managers. So if the managers are not effective in what they do, then you do not expect your employees to be as effective as well.
All right, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for that. So, please, if you have any question, be able to drop it in the comments below, because we are going to call it a wrap for the next few minutes. So, here comes what strategies do you use to keep remote employees motivated and engaged?
Okay, when you talk about strategies you use to keep your remote employees motivated and engaged, right? And that first thing you have to determine is, what is the motivation of your employees? Are they motivated intrinsically, or are they extrinsically motivated? This is where you talk about internal and external motivation. Now, when we talk about internal motivation, you talk about what they are really being motivated. Do they have a goal, right? Do they have a goal that they are looking for? Right, I might be a moderator in your project, and my goal is to become a developer, a blockchain developer. That is my goal. Now, there might be another employee that is motivated with rewards and recognition, right? If you reward me, I'm going to work well. That is some employees, and there are another set of employees that might be motivated by recognition. Okay, make announcement on Twitter that, oh, this employee is the best employees, or is my best moderator. Put it up on your Telegram. That is what is making that employee motivated. Now, after identifying these things that is motivating your employee, then you can know how to motivate them. Let's talk about the employee that wants to become a blockchain developer. Now, you can always some companies might organize training so that these employees might partake in this training, if it's aligned to the company's or organization goal. They might always organize training where these employees can partake in, or give them some certain access to some courses. I was in a platform. I was in a company, a project that they gave me resources for me to better improve my writing. That is why people follow me on online. They like asking me how I write threads so well. It was a company that actually gave me those resources that I learned on how to better write well when it comes to writing copies and writing articles online. And that was how I'm very good with writing. So I will always appreciate the company. You see, this when they did this for me, I was very motivated to work harder for them. Right now, we have company projects that employees that are motivated with money. When you reward them, bonuses and all of that, I mean, who doesn't want bonus, right? Especially in this part of the world where you comment, when you talk about people like us in Nigeria, who doesn't want rewards? Person like me, give me extra cash. Tell me, oh, thank you for your good work. Motivate me. You see me there. I will even come back. I will be very too much active more than the CEO itself. So these are, you have to figure out what is motivating your employees, what motivates them to work, and when you figure that out, you can always find the right strategies, right tools, or right training programs to give to employees to keep them engaged and motivated. And yeah, when you talk about keeping them engaged, you talk about setting clear goals, setting clear objectives for them, right? When you set clear expectations, clear objectives, and goals for your employees, this will keep them engaged because they want to meet this target. And when they meet this target, they are going to get this motivation, they are going to get this reward, this recognition. So in that way, you keep your employees motivated and engaged.
All right, thank you so much for that. I think you giving answers to this particular question, you have actually treated the next question I was about to ask. And
Okay.
before I ask you another question, I want to add to it because this particular part is very important. It's very, very imperative when it comes to motivating and giving employees access to some resourceful information work effectively, right? It's something I personally do. Like, if I have anybody that is working with me, if I want to go for an event, even if it's a paid event, I always want to go with them. I always want to carry them along. I always want to make sure they
Yeah,
have
exactly.
exposure so that they could be able to do their job. But a lot of employees and why even the managers, if you go to some places, the way the employees are going to treat you will help you to understand that these people have not got enough training. Seriously, a whole lot of employees don't even think about how well they are to be able to manage customers or maybe treat their customers well. And it's very bad for them. So I think I take this particular part serious when it comes to exposing um, your employees to some resourceful information. If you want to even necessitate reading of some books for them so that they could be able to have needed knowledge. That's what I come to the last question. So the second to the last question is so before I go second to the last question, if you have any question, do not hesitate to jump in as we are going to draw the curtain on the next segment. All right, so the question is what are some of the common challenges in managing remote employees capability in the industry and how can or how have you overcome them?
Okay, when you talk about the challenges I have faced when managing remote employees, you talk about a situation. One of the biggest challenges I have was in communication, right? I had an employee that was for a project I was on as a manager. I had an employee that really had bad internet connection, so communicating with him was very very difficult. Right, he was very good at what he does. He was a graphics designer, but he had very bad internet services, which you can send him messages now. Before he gets the messages, it will be after an hour, after 2 hours. So that was really challenging, right? The company, since he was very good at what he did, he was very good, he was like very excellent at what he did. I had to discuss with the manager, the project owner. Okay, this is what is happening, this is why this person delays a lot in the work he's doing in when it comes to submission. Because, and again, he had this very, one of the big reasons why his internet connection was very bad was he was using a very old Windows. I think it was the laptop was used Windows 9. So at the end of the, I think at the end of the month, the project had to get him a new PC, and I'm getting this thing, a new router to just get a better internet connection. And
Sorry,
that
your
was
voice is
how.
not coming through. I don't know what.
Am I audible
Okay,
now?
continue, continue.
Okay, yeah. So that was how I was able to, solve this issue by clearly communicating with the employee to see what was wrong. Where he told me he had a bad internet connection and he had a bad PC. Then I clearly communicated this to the founder, the CEO, that okay, this is the challenge this employee is having. He is not like he is bad at what he does or he doesn't want to work, but he's facing some issue. And that was how he got himself a new laptop and a router so that he can effectively work. So, and till today, he's still working for the project. So that was how I handled that. So, when you face challenges as a manager, right, you don't really have to, go first and to spark at the employees. Okay, why are you not doing this? Why didn't you deliver this work and all of that? You have to first start off by finding out what the source of the problem is. And if it's just your employee that, okay, your employee doesn't want to work, he is lazy at what he does, he doesn't want to be motivated, and that is when you can think of firing. But first, you must have to go to the root of the matter to find out what is really going on. So that is how yeah, I know, the challenge I faced as a manager and how I overcome it. Hello, Mr. Manuel, can you hear me? And I don't think I can, hear you. I think the platform is having really bad network. No, no, I don't think I can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. So, please, I want you to reply to this last question, and we call it a wrap from here.
Okay. Okay. The question is, the future of remote works looks like in the Web3 industry, and how do I plan to adapt your management style to stay ahead of the curve? So, when we talk about the future of remote work in Web3, I think we all know the um, how should I put it? We all know the advent of AI, right? AI would be very disruptive, especially to remote workers, because the truth is, some of the works that we do remotely, it will get to a point that it can be managed by AIs. So one thing is that there are a lot of works that will be managed by AIs, and again, you have to be able to stay ahead and stay updated, right? As a manager, that is why I talk about being technological, or being savvy when it comes to technology. You have to understand what is happening, the current um, development in the industry, right? It's very important to see the current, technology that is happening and how to utilize this technology. When it comes to, wait, let's talk about something like ChatGPT, right? As a manager, you should, it's not something that it's a choice. You should know how to utilize ChatGPT and any other technology that comes to play, which might help make work easier for your life. So become savvy with technology and be ready to stay updated with all these trends, right? Use platforms like Twitter, like YouTube to look at how these things works and keep yourself updated. Listen to podcasts from different different manager podcasts. We have Happy Hour HR, like a podcast for HR manager that talks about how you can basically manage um your employees. So you just have to stay updated with the information. The AI technology is going to disrupt work massively. And even looking further than AI, we have something like the metaverse and virtual reality, which is going to go another extent to disrupt remote work further. I think I see this instance where you can be working remotely inside an office, right, in the metaverse. There could be instances like that. So there are a lot of technologies that is going to disrupt the remote work industry, and you just have to stay updated with what's happening, stay updated with the trend. And when you're updated with these technologies, when you're updated with this, you can always stay ahead of the curve. You can always know what's wrong and the right things to do.
All right. Thank you so much for the value you've been able to share with us so far. Really, really do appreciate. Thank you for your time. I'm very grateful. All right, guys. So here comes the end of today's session, and I believe you've been able to got value, and I believe you write down some important informations. So if you did not write down, please do well to go back to the beginning of this session and watch the video and jot down some important informations, which is going to be very helpful for you now and in time to come. All right, so do well to tune in next week for our next week series of our weekly live session, same time, same channel. So thank you so much, guys. Do have a lovely weekend.